Here we go.
Did you sleep? Did you sleep?
I
Question.
did. I feel like I woke up and went, dude, I look like I partied in Vegas all night. But I legit did not.
Yeah, right.
I did. Anyways, all
That's just Vegas. You can party all night or not. You're still gonna look the same.
Yeah. I slept really well Friday to Saturday, and last night for some reason I was like, I'm just wide awake. Anyways, thank y'all for bringing us to Vegas. Happy New Year. Really awesome to see all of y'all. Who first time? Awesome.
Who first time?
I'm thinking
Is
very
your mom like an English teacher?
Yes. My wife is an English major.
Right.
Right now.
But none of that is rubbed off on you.
No.
Okay.
How
many first time?
It's alright, we're not going there. It is Vegas, it stays here. How was y'all's holidays? Good? I see one hand kind of going so-so. Alright, well, hopefully.
She's like, look, I'm here, all right?
What do you want from me?
Let's just take the win.
Stop asking so many questions. Well,
Speaking of questions,
yeah, speaking of questions.
should we answer some?
Yes. With the GoPro?
With regards to radio company music, what do you usually do first? Do you do the melody or do you usually do the lyrics first?
I usually start with.
Yes, Jared, tell us your process.
I just start humming, you know, in the shower, and right when I'm washing under my left armpit, I'm like, this is gonna be good. Just use it.
And he works out the melody with it. That's,
You too?
I do. Steve and I will usually come up with a melody and then start humming what we think, you know, the sound, you know, where the words might go, and then we try to come up with the lyrics that fit the melody. So
That's really funny. I literally this morning, I was listening to a podcast, and they were talking about Paul McCartney creating Get Back, and they were saying he was like walking around going, and he had the melody, its head,
and then define the lyrics. Yeah, I think that's probably a more common way of doing it. Writing a poem and then trying to put music to those words, I think would be much more difficult. So, yeah.
I think it would both be difficult.
So yeah, that's generally what we do. Thanks.
Question from the squeaky toy.
About right here, yes.
It's a great question. Thank you back for bringing us to Vegas, being part of what brought us to Vegas for many years. I guess I'll give this a shot.
I got it. You want to think about it? Well, I'll kind of go reverse. I think the first thing that I did after Supernatural was Boys, and the thing that I was most fearful of was using Dean's voice, and it was something. Luckily, I had Kripke watching my back. I had Phil Segreto watching my back, and I remember, I think there might have been a couple of things where Phil had to step in and say, hey, what's that? And I'm like, sorry, it's my go-to, all right? Been doing it for a long time. So I think I was, well, I'll take Kripke's word for it when he said that he never saw Dean in what Soldier Boy was. So I think that was the pat on the back that I was looking for. But that was a hard thing to kind of drop and to get out from underneath, was that kind of voice. And then what do I miss the most about? I would say, I mean, it's hard to come up with something other than the camaraderie of a film set that's been working together for the better part of 2 decades. It's that really was one of my favorite things about what I do for a living is the morning set walk, like getting to set, getting to the trailer, and then walking over to maybe get some breakfast and saying hi to all the caterer guys, seeing the morning kind of come to life with the camera guys pulling all the equipment out of the trucks and the grips and the electrics and the whole thing starting to hum, and like that feeling and that just that camaraderie that exists between the whole crew, the cast, and everybody gearing up for the day. Because it's going to be at least a 12 to 14 hour day every day, which is what Supernatural was. Everybody's geared up for battle that day, and I miss those morning moments with people that I knew so well. You still got that on with Big Sky. I got to know those people, but it's hard. It'll be hard to ever know your crew as well as we do Supernatural crew.
Yeah, same. That for sure. You know somebody, and Jensen's done 450 projects since Supernatural. I've been one, so I do have a kind of 2.5, 3 year experience with my Walker casting crew. So that's starting, but it wasn't just knowing somebody's name and knowing what they do for a living. We knew like, hey, they got married 2 years ago, or 6 years ago, or hey, they lost somebody 8 years ago. Like, check in on them. Like, you really knew these people. And that's just a product of time. I'll say that for me on Walker, kudos to Anna Fricke and Seamus Kempay, who were kind of like co-running the writers' room at the time, because Jared felt out of sorts. But for those who've seen Walker, the first season, Cordell Walker is kind of out of sorts, and he's coming back from being uncovered. It kind of worked because I was like, I feel weird as Jared, but luckily Cordell feels weird, and I can be Corbin. One of the just random things, maybe not as deep as knowing the cast and crew so wonderfully. Walker, we don't have long setups. We don't shoot studio mode often, where there's a bunch of lighting. So he and I, like on Supernatural, we would go shoot a scene, and then they would be turning around, so we'd like have half an hour to go chill out, watch the news, call our families,
Play ping pong,
read an email, play soccer, whatever. On Walker, it's kind of like they're always ready because it's not so crisp, there'll be a time when there's a shadow on your face. There'll be a time where you're half obscured by the other actor. And they're like, cool, feels real. You know, we move on. And so, like a day of work on Walker is shorter, but it's kind of a sprint. So we would shoot 14 hours, sometimes 16. I think Bugs was 18, we had like a third lunch or something. Because you have to, you know, for night shooting, you only have a location for a day, you have to get it done. And so...
You know what's funny is they never refer to any meal on set as dinner. It's either lunch or second meal. That's it. They're like, no, we're not serving you guys dinner. They're like, but it's dinner. No.
And we, every year, had lunch at least once a year at like 1 a.m.
At midnight, yeah.
Legit.
They would call lunch, that would be lunch.
Crew calls at 6 p.m.
That would be breakfast.
That would be breakfast.
Breakfast at 6 p.m. and then you eat your lunch at midnight.
But we have time in between to go catch up, we run lines, whatever. Walker's kind of like, get here and we're sprinting until we're done. And so that's been it was a you know, a bit of a, like,
Adjustment.
A
bit of an adjustment.
Yeah, like a slap in the face or something. But
there's also things that we probably can't talk about on Supernatural that we kind of grandfathered in.
it's Jason Baker's, right?
Because we had started so long ago. I mean, when we started shooting Supernatural, we were doing it on a 35mm film. I don't know of any show that films on actual film anymore. But there were just things that we kind of started to do early on and established as just our behavior that no other shows could get over. No other cast would be like, wait, you guys do what? And we're like, yeah. And there was a lot of those things that we just kind of, everybody was just like, no, that's just the way they've been doing it. So let's not rock the boat. Let them be themselves and do whatever that is. And we'd just be like,
for instance, you know, we switched over to Spot, and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all stuff didn't really exist yet, and so we signed a contract. There were no clauses about social media.
Oh yeah.
And then come like 2012, when it was big and most people kind of interacted via social media, they would every year, every single season, we'd have a piece of paper in our trailer, like the first episode, saying it was like the social media guidelines and accepted policies or something.
And you would assign it. It was like a commitment to following certain protocol of the studio and the network via your personal social media. And Jared, every day, would just be like,
never signed it.
Never signed it once. And they all were just like, did the boys sign it? No. Okay.
We never got, there's like no pictures behind the camera, no this, no that.
We're like, we got left alone and left to our own devices. And I do miss that, because now that we're on these new shows and stuff, we're having to follow the rules a little more closely.
Toe the line a little bit.
It was the wild, wild west on Supernatural.
It was. All right, thank you. I'm gonna go right there. Shut up.
That never happened.
Yeah, I don't have any alcohol in my drink.
Right, because you're at work. You're not supposed to.
Nor did we ever.
Remember our birthdays?
Do y'all know that story?
Listen, we were young. And immature. Still immature, but we for our birthdays for the first few seasons, we'd get each other an entire keg of beer and put it in the trailer, and would just drink it all day while working, just throughout the day, just come back and like we were in college. And everyone on the production was just like, I don't see anything. As we got older though, it became like a pony keg, which is like a half keg. And then like the next year it was like those little 5 liter like Heineken kegs. And then it became just like a six-pack of things.
What about, we also had this funny thing, speaking about how we were just gonna do things the way we did things. So, as much as we're making it sound like we were heathens, horrific, we always got done on time, we always knew our lines,
That's right.
our marks, hung our wardrobe, all that stuff. But season 1, I believe it was, so we filmed in Canada, obviously. They don't recognize American Thanksgiving, which for Texans especially, and for a lot of America, is a bigger holiday than
It is a
Christmas.
religious holiday.
Yeah, because Christmas is very much based in Christianity, and some people are not religious. So Thanksgiving is always like, okay, no one's spending any money, having to go to a store for 4 days, trying to figure out what to buy for who. It's always just like, hey, let's eat, drink, and
Be merry.
and watch the Cowboys. And so season 1, we had to work an entire week, and we're like, that's cool. You make the schedule the way you want to make it. Here's the deal. We're going to be watching the Cowboys game. So, and we were shooting like an hour away from Vancouver and Langley or something. And we're like, we'll just find the place closest that has the game on. Y'all can do whatever you want. We're going to be watching the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. And so they got a portable satellite dish and linked it into our trailer so that the Cowboys game would play on our trailer.
So we would stay closer to set.
So we said, close to the set. But then we were like,
Why don't we have this all the time?
And so from the
Boom! Grandfathered in.
yeah. So people would be like, wait, you have like satellite
You have like TV in your trailer.
Yeah. You know? I remember a Bell, like when you have like TV.
That's right.
Yeah, everywhere.
Mel was so mad.
And Cliffy knows the stories better than anybody, but sometimes our Teamsters would have to get there like an hour early.
To set up a satellite.
Like a 60-foot cord to the nearest place without trees that was facing the right direction, adjacent to the sun to find the right.
And there was always, every now and then we were shooting at a place where it was like, you know, we're in the mountains or something and they couldn't get a signal. And we'd show up to work and be like, guys, bad news. We couldn't get a signal. I was like, oh, well, that's gonna be bad news for production. I'm gonna head back down the mountain.
Fast forward like 15 people trying
On the top of the mountain ridge, like, hey,
yeah, holding mirrors to like prop.
no, it's sorry. That was.
Yes, that's right.
We're gonna keep coming back to this question. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
And then once
And I was talking to him about it, and he was like, and I guess they had brought up us to Jeff. Jeff was like, dude, they could love to have you on. I was like,
I have his number. He was like, yeah, man.
we should make that happen sooner or later.
Y'all can make it happen. Y'all can make it
How
happen.
about right here to green? Redress.
Thank you guys for being here and for everything that you've done. I'm curious, as much as we've talked about what you've missed, what has been the best part about wrapping up such a momentous project?
Let me start with this one. I finally started to allow myself to be proud of it. You know? In no small part due to all y'all. But I think, and he and I talked about this we talked about it for the 15 and a half years or whatever. But when you're in it, when you still have a job to do, you can't really toot your own horn, pat yourself on the back. But now with it in the rearview mirror, I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fucking cool. Like, yeah, we did progress. Yeah, we did grow up a lot. Yeah, we did get better. Yeah, we did learn this. We learned that. We did these friendships. At the time, you're like, don't tell me how cool it is, because I still have to wake up and do 8 pages. I still have to watch this video on my text messages of the fight I have to do tomorrow, so I can memorize the movements and practice it in my hotel room or my apartment. But now that it's finally behind us as of right now, I kind of I go like, man, that was cool. That was cool. You know?
I was proud of the fact that we went out while still firing on all cylinders. that was one of my biggest fears, was that the show would start to decline in its quality, or we would run out
As
of
most do.
Right, like
In season 3.
right. And I think that was hard, because when you're still performing and working and telling the story, and you still love your characters, and you're still playing at that level, to then walk away from it was hard, but it was also something that he and I talked about. Just like, well, let's not stick around until it starts to decline, until the audience loses its interest in us, and the story starts to get a little washed up, and then all of a sudden we start caring less and don't put in the effort. I still feel like we went out after winning the Super Bowl. So I'm proud of that. Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons why, we're still here talking about it.
Right.
Is because it wasn't dying. It was still very much alive and still had a lot to give. And I think that it still is giving. It's still kind of living on through this. And I think that's just setting up the return at some point.
And I'll say this, and this is something I've kind of had to vocalize as a parent, but I'll say this for me, and I'll say this for him, and for the cast at large, and the crew. I tell my kids often, because they're in sports, and it's sports, like it's just kids running after a soccer ball and not, or whatever. But some of my kids get upset when they lose. I'm like, hey, you should play your best. I'm very competitive, but not with you, not with him, not with anybody here. I just want to be the best I can be. Want to be the best I can. If I get home tonight and I won whatever game, but I didn't give it my best, I feel worse than if I lost but did my best. I'll never beat LeBron James in a one-on-one game. But if I work really hard and I can maybe dribble a couple times without him stealing it and dunking on me, then
I'll still lose.
I'll lose, but I'll be like, hey, that's the best I can do. That's just the best I can be. It's not going to be as good as that. But I'll say this, obviously in 314 episodes, 8 days of filming per episode, it's 2,500 days that we got up and went to work. And
I'm not checking math on
roughly 2,600-ish.
that. I don't know.
But I'll say this, he and I were full aware, and I'm sure y'all are as well, that some episodes were not as good as some others. But every fucking day, every scene, every line, we gave it everything we had. And we're literally going out on that.
That's it. We're pulling this.
Thank y'all so much.
That's time. Thanks, guys. Thanks for being here.